Welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology forecast for July 14th through the 20th. And the theme this week is integrative healing. We have several themes around moving more deeply into your healing journey, particularly the Sun and Chiron making a square this week. And then we're also entering into another cycle of integration, of introspection, of contemplation. And this is primarily with Mercury stationing retrograde this week in the sign of Leo. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a depth psychotherapist and an astrologer, and I'm so honored to share the astrology of this week with you from a depth psychological perspective. So let's start with the Sun in the sign of Cancer making a square to Chiron in Aries. And so this aspect inherently involves the principle of healing, with Chiron being the symbol of healing, as well as teaching, studying, mentorship. And Chiron is so much about drawing forward from within our inherent skills, talents, vocation, and the healing function of that whatever is in here that is inside of you that wants to come out, it's that process of creating a space for your inner oh gosh, what do I want to say here? It's like there's something inside of you that needs a little bit of time and space and experience and maybe possibly study or internship. There's something that needs to be done in practice in order for that thing, whatever it is in you, whether that is having healthy relationships or doing a certain type of work that you feel called to, or making peace with your family, whatever the thing is, there is something in all of us that wants to come out in this lifetime. And Chiron points to those things where it needs a little practice or massaging or intervention in some way. And that may involve actual psychological healing. That may involve physical healing. It may involve doing the things that feel important to you, but a little scary or uncomfortable or vulnerable. This is all the realm of Chiron. And so whenever we have a planet coming into aspect with Chiron, this planet, in this case, the Sun, is creating an invitation to move into this healing developmental process in a very particular way, in this case, in a sun-like way. And we also want to keep in mind too that Chiron moves very slowly. It has about a 50-year cycle. So planets are going to be faster planets, such as the Sun, Venus, Mercury, etc., Mars. They're going to be aspecting Chiron from time to time. And so Chiron has been in Aries for quite some time. So anytime the Sun moves into the sign of Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, it's going to make an aspect to Chiron. And so in this case, we're moving into this current Cancerian aspect of the Sun to Chiron. And the Sun is the principle of our inner spark, that thing that we are consciously focused on. The Sun, more psychologically, is connected to our ego, our self with the capital S, but also the self persona, the things that we identify with consciously. And the Sun is also very connected to our vitality. The Sun is a symbol of the psychological cohesion that we have. So whatever that is, for a lot of us, that is the role that we have, or maybe the work that we do, the social the social roles that we have. whatever that is that creates a cohesive effect, that is what the sun represents for us. And the sun is also a symbol very much of our vitality, of our energy, of our enthusiasm to go out and do something or to get up, or, in a challenging position, the sun can indicate where maybe it is more difficult to feel that sense of vibrancy and spark, and that it can be difficult to feel that get up and go, and the initiative to move boldly out into the world. The sun very much symbolizes boldness and our experience of what it is like to take up space, to say, yes, I am here, this is me, you can see me, I am visible. And so, for this reason, the sun is also connected to experiences of leadership or roles where you have an influence or are seen more visibly in some way. Let's see. So, what else do I want to say about this? Okay, so this combination, there's something here this week about bringing light, the sun, bringing light to something that previously felt maybe painful or elusive. Whenever we have Chiron, it typically is a symbol of things that maybe have felt like, it just, can I just get this thing resolved, or can I just, it feels sort of perplexing. It's, Chiron is very much connected to the healing journey being this spiral path where we're, over our lifetime, sort of circling around certain behavior patterns, certain inner states, and that when we return to something that is difficult that maybe we've dealt with before, we're returning to it where it's maybe there's a similar theme, but we're different, the context is different, it's a similar flavor, but there is a different moment in time that we're experiencing it. And so Chiron is like, yes, there is this refinement, there is this healing in the ongoing return to these things that are maybe elusive or a little bit different or just difficult or just need some tending care. Just like a wound that is healing, it needs to be dressed, it needs to be tended to from time to time. And some wounds heal fairly quickly, they need very minimal tending, and some really need an ongoing, hourly, daily tending to. Now, this combo, Sun square Chiron, could also be an invigorating of your ability to process challenging situations. So this is the vigor of the sun coming in here. And the sun in Cancer, there is an emotional power to the sun in Cancer. Cancer is this cardinal sign. It's the water. The water is a force. And it's so interesting because it's this flexible force. And so there might be something here around really feeling this sense of initiative to meet something that's been challenging, to confront something important in your healing journey. And when I say confront, I mean that might be confronting something externally, but I kind of, when I'm reading this, it feels like maybe an internal confrontation, like admitting something to yourself or realizing something, or just more fully emotionally processing something. This could also be around processing something around your self-image, your ego, your vitality, your health, whether that is your physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual health, maybe all of those, they're all connected. And possibly involving your role as a leader, if that is something that is present for you in your life, and or it may involve paternal figures in some way, either someone who is a literal paternal figure for you, or maybe someone that just feels paternal-esque to you. And this is because the sun traditionally is associated with paternal figures in our lives. So, so this is kind of the vibe that we're already probably feeling the week ahead and through the extent of this week. Now, what happens that later in the week that puts an exclamation point on the Sun to Chiron is we have the last quarter moon in Aries. And so this means that the moon is with Chiron. And so this is really cool because, at least I think it's cool, because we have Sun square Chiron. So they're already interacting with each other. They're already symbolizing a Sun Chiron-like experience. And the moon, which is a faster moving planet, comes in and it comes into conjunction with Chiron. And this brings the moon, it does a couple things. It brings the moon into the equation symbolically, and we'll talk about what that means in a moment. And it also just brings more emphasis to this aspect of Sun square Chiron. It brings more attention because there are, we would say, more planetary bodies involved. And particularly that it's not just the transiting moon, it's the last quarter moon. So it is the last quarter moon is always a square between the moon and the sun. So there's already this double layer of squares: Sun square Chiron, moon square the sun. Okay, so the moon is a symbol of, the moon is very physical, it's very psychosomatic, it's very much a symbol of our emotional, physical, spiritual body, and how all of these things are connected. And the moon can be connected to maternal figures in the way that the sun can be connected to paternal figures. The moon is a symbol of our instinctual, emotional, intuitive awareness. And so the moon shows us in our natal chart the ways that we deal with stress, the way that we can reduce our stress. It tells us about our kind of like animal body attachment needs, the things that we need physically, the things that we need within deeply bonded, intimate relationships, where anything where there is an attachment that is made, whether that is friend, platonic, romantic, etc. The moon tells us sort of like these more like, gosh, I just keep wanting to say like animal body because it's very psychosomatic in a way where it's not really a preference, it is a valid need to have whatever it is that the moon is indicating. And we can look at this via the sign, the aspects, etc. And so in this case, the moon is coming into contact with Chiron in Aries. And so there is this spotlighting of the need for healing, for moving into an experience that maybe feels a little uncomfortable, but when we go into it, there's something there to be gained. And there's also something here around processing the intuitive function, which is the moon, as well as the more intellectual function, I would say, I guess, which is the sun. And let's see, what else did I want to say about this? Okay, yes. So also the last quarter moon in Aries is happening exactly on Thursday, July 17th. It's exact at 5:37 p.m. Pacific time. So depending on where you are in the world, it will be happening Thursday, maybe Friday. And so this is about, because also the last quarter is toward the end of the current monthly lunar cycle. So the last quarter, the moon is becoming smaller and smaller in the sky from our visual vantage point. And so we can think of the moon as sort of like shedding its light. It's letting go, it is releasing, it is making peace, tying up loose ends, etc. So there's this kind of like release, exhale kind of tone to this. And oftentimes, this point in the lunar cycle, we may meet a conundrum where it's like, okay, I maybe don't want to continue with this, or I don't have time or energy for this. I think that's quite possible. So there's this questioning of priorities. There is possibly maybe for you a desire to act from your instincts. And I also am wondering here too if a part of this healing for you is you're trusting more or learning how to trust in your intuition. And when I say this, I'm not saying like blind trust, but I'm saying like maybe there's something here around honing your own intuitive vocabulary. Might be something there for you. Let's see. So, yeah, there just really might be some somatic issue that comes up here as well. And I think that it can be really helpful always, but especially now, to view your body's symptoms as symbolic. Now, I'm not saying don't tend to your physical health and see a doctor, or take whatever you need to take, or do whatever physical therapy, etc. Do all of those things. Yes, please take care of yourself. I want you to um, have as much health and comfort in your body as possible. And also, when things happen, we can read them like a dream, and we can read the symptoms in our body symbolically. So, for example, if you develop like a sore throat or like phlegminess, the very literal, like, okay, something is stuck in the throat. Is there something that you've wanted to say that you can't say, or that you haven't been able to say, or it's been difficult to say? Did you say something and now it feels like raw there in the throat? Um, is there something that feels inflamed around like what it is that you want to say? Anything like that. So that's like very simple. I think that again, this goes back to honing your intuitive vocabulary, because a sore throat or something with the throat might be very different from one person to another, although we have collective associations with things. Another example is like skin irritation. Um, I don't know, maybe maybe you wore wool. I know when I wear wool, sometimes I get a skin irritation, and um, so it's like, yes, maybe there is something that literally irritated your skin. And also, at this point in time, is there some sort of symbolic, synchronistic connection at this particular time that your skin, which is a boundary, the skin is uh, symbolically so multifaceted because it's a boundary, it's a living tissue. Um, it's also very connected to how we're perceived. So, if there's something with the skin, particularly that's on the face, and then there's like a feeling like wanting to hide, um, agitated skin, I think oftentimes can be a symbol also of just like feeling agitated, feeling internally inflamed, feeling angry. Again, if it's something that maybe you want to hide, is there something where you feel emotionally like you're wanting to hide, etc. I hope you get what I'm saying here. What I really want to communicate to you in this moment is that um, there are universal archetypal symbols with anything, whether that's body or otherwise. And then there's also your personal symbol set. So inflamed skin might mean something very particular to you just based on your experience and your associations and what you notice. And so, just more to notice to take in this week. So I think that there's something here about connecting into the body also as a wisdom keeper, as a communicator. Okay, what else is happening? So yes, Mercury is stationing retrograde in the sign of Leo. So we have Mercury retrogrades about 3 or 4 times a year. They each last about 3 weeks or so. And usually they're in the same sign. Sometimes they'll go back into another sign. In this case, it's in the sign of Leo. And this Mercury retrograde starts Thursday, July 17th at 15 degrees of Leo, so about midway through the sign. And Mercury will be retrograde until August 10th, when it will station direct at 4 degrees of Leo. So let's see. So yeah, I think there's so much sensationalizing around Mercury retrograde, and that's why I'm emphasizing that this is not like an unexpected thing. Mercury retrograde happens often enough, and as with all astrology, everything is in cycles. Absolutely everything. Some cycles are very small, like the moon being once a month. Some cycles are very long, like Pluto being 248 years of a cycle. And there's even larger cycles than that. But we can think of this as Mercury, the mind, our mental analytical processing function, goes through this cycle where about 3 or 4 times a year there is this integration period. There is an where the in the sky phenomenon, what we actually see is that Mercury appears to pause in the sky, and then it appears to track backwards through the zodiac, and then it pauses again when it stations direct, and then it moves forward. So it's not literally doing something different in the sky, but from our perspective, something different is happening. And this tells us something about our mental processing cycle over a long period of time. This tells us that several times a year, it is appropriate to introspect, to contemplate, and to integrate. And there's nothing that you have to do um, in order to be with this energy, because it's happening. This is the beauty of astrology, is that it uh, goes on with or without our participation. And also, when we know about it, we can understand. My hope is that we can be validated in the way that we feel. And so, in this case, this upcoming Mercury retrograde over the next 3 weeks is a time where you may possibly feel called or led to be more introspective, to be more introverted, to contemplate, to mentally, emotionally review any variety of things in your life. Um, Mercury retrograde is inherently known for revising or retooling things. And so if there's something that you already want to redo, revision, redecorate, redraft, this is a good time for that, because it's in common with the energy. And also, you don't have to have all of the answers now. The whole process itself is this kind of like feeling into and figuring out. So let's see. What else did I want to add to this? So yes, Mercury retrogrades are akin to times of contemplation, meditation, and integration. We can feel into Mercury retrograde's energy when we pull the tarot cards, such as the Hanged Person, the Four of Swords, or the Four of Cups. These kind of have this feeling tone of pause or inaction, and that the inaction, the contemplation is actually very active, ironically. So, let's see. Also, I want to say about this. So, this year, all of 2025, we've also been having an emphasis of retrogrades, Mercury retrogrades, through the fire signs. We did have Mercury retrograde in Aries and Pisces, but for the most part, it's been in fire signs. And it goes like this, where there are retrogrades of Mercury with an emphasis in a particular element. So this year it's been fire. And there's something here also about connecting in and integrating with your inner fire, your inner inspiration. Leo is connected to creativity, to self expression, to the performative arts, and to the giving and receiving of love and affection. This like two-way street of really feeling like you are being received. And so there might be something here also for you, either around your experience of living a creative life, of feeling seen and heard, and also just feeling like you are delighted in for who you are. This is very much a Leo phenomenon. Um, Folks that have Leo placements, it's so important that they are able to freely express and that they are seen and that they are appreciated for who it is that they are. And so there might be something here for you around that as well. Okay, another thing to add with this Mercury retrograde is that this is happening when Mercury is making a sextile to Venus and Gemini. So this is a soft, supportive aspect. This adds in support around healing, beauty, relationships, social connection, all Venusian themes. This could look like asking for help or seeking simple pleasures, and that may assist you in your contemplative process through this upcoming Mercury retrograde. Okay, so that's the astrology that's happening this week. I have some reflection questions for you, and then we'll pull some cards. Okay, so number one question I have for you is, how can you be open to receive healing? And this is just, let it be open-ended, see what comes up for you, but there's something here around simply just being open. Reflection question number two, what is your body communicating to you? Even subtly, even if there's nothing profound that you're noticing happening with your body. Maybe if you slow down and pay attention, there's something that your body wants to say to you. And number three, what would you like to integrate or reflect on over the next 3 weeks? Maybe something is already coming to mind. I'm very curious. Maybe something is kind of like percolating. But yeah, I wonder if there's anything in particular that you would like to integrate or to reflect on over the next 3 weeks. Okay, So I'm shuffling my cards, and as always, love hearing um, how this is sitting with you, what's coming up, and uh, what is already rumbling around in your psyche as you're hearing this, the astrology. So if you're not already, please find yourself in a comfortable place as much as you can, somewhere where you can feel settled. If you like, you can close your eyes or you can focus on something in front of you that feels soothing. And then imagine that you're encircled in this beautiful sphere of light. And if visualizing things is very difficult, just imagine that you could feel it or know that it's there, this beautiful protective sphere of light of any color. And if you like, you may wish to invite in the presence of your spiritual guidance team, ancestors, whoever, whatever are that protective, guiding, benevolent force. Ask that they are here to help you, to protect you, and to communicate with you in a way that you can easily understand. Okay. And also here, maybe there is a particular question or a wondering that comes forward for you. And I've pulled 3 cards here, so if you like, you can pick a number between 1 and 3, and that card will be special to you. Okay, so first card that actually jumped right out here is the High Priestess card. And in this deck, it's an image of a person with a very witchy outfit, very short hair, and they're sitting outside, sort of like on the rooftop, looking up at the moon. So the High Priestess is so much about the unknown, unseen realm, the unknown world. It's very mystical. It's very much about your intuition. It's about um, hidden, occulty kind of secrets. It is everything. It's very much about the unconscious too. It's everything that it's sort of like the things that you know, but that you don't know that you know them. This is the High Priestess. And so there's this total magical, mystical, um, very deep and rich feeling tone to the High Priestess. When we get this card, it can be a reminder to trust your intuition, to take your intuition more seriously, to know that you will never really be able to pin down all of the mysteries of the universe, and that there's something mysterious here. There's also something here around you possibly embodying that. And I'm also just thinking about the sun and Chiron and the moon, and it kind of feels like, I don't know, there's whatever is happening in your life here, there is something behind the scenes that you don't quite know about. But there's an encouragement to seek the answers while also knowing that there are some things that are just always going to be inherently mysterious. There's are always going to be things that we're unconscious of, and that is a part of the uh, delight and beauty. Okay, so maybe more to say about that in a moment, but the second card is the Knight of Swords. And I really love this card in this deck. It's an image of a person with pink hair and like a big puffy pink dress, and they're on a carousel horse. And so the knights are typically, the knights in Tarot are very Mars-like. They're about action, initiation, about high enthusiasm with doing something, moving forward, etc. Swords are about our mind, our thought process, our intellect, communication. So it's very interesting that we have Knight of Swords. That feels very Mercury and Leo to me. And so there's something here about um, really feeling really excited about what it is that you have to say, or carrying a message forward, or maybe learning all of the things. There's something here that's like really energizing for you around words, thought, speech, communication. And I pulled this upright. So this is emphasizing the forward movement here. And even the way that I'm looking at the spread when I'm looking at it, this person is, let's see, wait, how do I want to say this? There's this flow of the gaze in each card, the High Priestess and the Knight of Swords, where they're both looking forward. So there's this like forward momentum movement here with the Knight of Swords, and then also just with the characters in these cards with their gaze is like there's some movement, some initiative. And so it's very interesting actually, because the High Priestess has this still water kind of quality to it. And then the Knight is like, yes, doing the things, taking action, moving forward. It may not necessarily be logistical, physical movement. It might be more enthusiasm. So I'm not quite sure. You'll have to tell me sort of what is coming up for you. And the third card is the Seven of Wands. And so Seven of Wands typically comes up around defending our position or holding our ground, or taking up space and claiming our space. And in this card, in this deck, the card has an image of a person that's like packing a suitcase, and the suitcase is kind of like too full and it's smashed, and they're sort of like, how do I get all these things in here? uh, and I pulled this card reversed. And so there's something here with the Seven of Wands around, I don't quite know. It doesn't quite feel like power struggle to me, though maybe that is the case for you, but it's more about like defending your principles, defending your position, and um, feeling protective of what it is that you have or what it is that you're saying. When this card is reversed, though, sometimes well, it can be a couple things. When it's reversed, it makes me wonder if maybe there's a feeling of powerlessness in defending your stance, or being able to defend or protect yourself in some way. Um, Even if that's whether that is physical or maybe emotional or at a more subtle level. And another quality of this card being reversed is maybe something around like an encouragement to find compromise, or to um, allow for other ideas to come in, allow for others to reach you. I don't quite know. There's kind of like, and maybe that's a bit of it, is it's a little confusing right now. It's like when I'm looking at this card, it's kind of like, okay, I sort of like have an image of maybe you wondering, like, am I right? Like, should I be very determined and boundaried about this, or should I maybe um, take their advice or their opinion or their feelings more into consideration? And that this is reversed at the end of this spread tells me that maybe this is a figuring out process about this particular topic here. Um, so yeah, actually I'm kind of feeling into this right now. So the high priestess is very, like, you can't really pin it down. The high priestess is um shapeshifty, it's paradoxical. And so I'm wondering if a part of what's happening here this week is sort of like um, revising or moving more into how you protect yourself, how you defend and protect yourself, particularly psychologically, because the high priestess is so much about the inner world, the inner landscape, the unconscious. And there's something here inside that's being rallied. That, like, there's something here where your inner psychological defense system, um, whether that is like, and when I'm feeling into this, it may look like, for you, it may look like boundaries that you have set up with folks in your life. It might be more subtle. It might just be more about how you um, set up and organize your life. But there's really something here, I think, that's being activated, that's being initiated inside of you. There's some fire, there's some raw, there's some enthusiasm. And it's, I think because the Seven of Wands is reversed, we're like, what is it? What? There's sort of this, it's developing this week. It's in process, it's cooking. There's something that is happening. So, very excited for you on that journey. That is your astrology for this week. Such a pleasure to be here with you, to share these with you, and I am wishing you so much ease and peace and safety and security this next week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.